Whistle, secret frequencies. An extreme slow-motion shot of a referee blowing a whistle. Saliva and air erupt from it. The sound is silent for a moment. It's the most definitive sound in all of sports. A sharp, piercing shriek that slices through the roar of a stadium, capable of stopping 22 players in their tracks on 100 yards of turf, or halting a fast break with thousands of fans screaming. It's a sound of authority, a sound of finality, the referee's whistle. We think we know what it is, a simple tool to start and stop play. But what if it's more? What if that familiar sound is just a Trojan horse, a carrier wave for something far more sophisticated? Something designed not just to be heard by the ears, but to be felt by the very cells of the athletes themselves. This is the central claim of a fascinating and deeply unsettling theory known as the resonance protocol. The theory posits that the referee's whistle is not merely an auditory signal, but a finely tuned sonic device. It suggests that embedded within its primary audible frequency are other specific frequencies designed to subtly influence human biology. We're not talking about magic, we're talking about physics, the foundational science of how sound waves, which are just vibrations traveling through a medium, interact with everything they touch. To understand how this could even be possible, you have to stop thinking of the human body as just a solid block of flesh and bone. Instead, picture your body as a complex collection of trillions of tiny, vibrating systems. Every organ, every cell, every molecule has a natural frequency at which it sings or resonates. It's a concept called bioresonance. Think of it like tuning forks. If you have two tuning forks of the same frequency and you strike one, the other will start to vibrate sympathetically, even without being touched. The energy is transferred through the sound wave. The most famous example, of course, is the opera singer shattering a crystal glass. The singer doesn't break the glass with sheer volume, but by finding and holding the exact resonant frequency of the crystal, causing its vibrations to amplify until its structure fails. Now apply that principle to an athlete. What is the resonant frequency of a neuron in the prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain responsible for decision-making? What is the resonant frequency of a muscle fiber in the leg, or the adrenal gland that secretes cortisol, the stress hormone? The resonance protocol theory suggests that if you could identify these frequencies, you could, in theory, use an external source, like a whistle, to influence them, to amplify them, dampen them, or disrupt them. This isn't as far-fetched as it might initially sound. We already know that certain frequencies have profound biological effects. Let's look at the extremes of the sonic spectrum. Below our range of hearing, you have infrasound, frequencies below 20 Hz. These low-frequency vibrations are known to cause feelings of anxiety, dread, and disorientation. The military has spent decades researching infrasound for its potential as a non-lethal weapon, capable of dispersing crowds or incapacitating enemy combatants without firing a single shot. On the other end of the spectrum, you have ultrasound, frequencies above 20,000 Hz. We use it in medicine every single day. We use its precise vibrations to break up kidney stones without surgery, to stimulate bone growth, and, most famously, to create detailed images of a developing fetus in the womb. So, we have established undeniable proof that sound frequencies we can't even hear can have dramatic, measurable, and highly specific effects on our bodies. The question the resonance protocol asks is, what about the frequencies in between? The ones we hear, but that might be carrying hidden riders, subharmonics, or overtones engineered for a specific purpose. History is filled with pioneers who understood the power of vibration. Nikola Tesla famously created a small mechanical oscillator that, when attached to a steel pillar in his New York lab, began to shake the entire building and surrounding structures by matching their resonant frequency. He claimed he could split the Earth in two with the right device and enough time. While that may be hyperbole, the principle is sound. And modern technology has taken it to new levels. Think of the long-range acoustic device, or LRAD. It's a sonic weapon used for crowd control that can emit a tightly focused, painfully loud beam of sound to deter people at a distance. This is sound being weaponized right out in the open. The technology to create and direct specific, powerful sound frequencies is not science fiction. It's a reality of modern crowd control and military hardware. So, let's bring it back to the field of play. The modern referee whistle, like the ubiquitous Fox 40, is a keyless design that can produce a sound of over 115 decibels. It's engineered for performance, but what kind of performance? Is it just about being loud? Or could its internal chambers be designed to create a very specific, complex waveform? A sound signature that contains not just the 3,000 to 4,000 hertz shriek we hear, but also other, less obvious frequencies. Frequencies that could potentially encourage a state of heightened focus, or, more sinisterly, a moment of confusion. We've laid the groundwork. We know sound can interact with matter in precise ways. We know the human body is a resonant system. And we know that technology exists to weaponize and direct sound. The stage is set. The pieces are on the board. The next logical step is to ask the most critical question of all. If this technology were being used, how exactly would it control an athlete?
What are the biological pathways that could be hijacked by a simple whistle, turning a game of skill and strategy into a symphony of subtle sonic manipulation?
Athlete performance control. Athlete performance control. A montage of high-stakes sports moments. A basketball player at the free throw line. A soccer player taking a penalty kick. A quarterback in the pocket. The how is where this theory transforms from a fascinating exercise in physics into a chilling sports conspiracy. If a whistle could indeed influence an athlete, it wouldn't be like a remote-control joystick. The effects would be subtle, insidious, and almost impossible to distinguish from the natural pressures of the game. We're talking about nudging biology, not puppeteering it. Let's explore the potential mechanisms, the biological pathways that could theoretically be exploited by the resonance protocol. First, and perhaps most obviously, is the hormonal response. Our bodies are governed by a delicate chemical cocktail, and nothing hijacks that system faster than the fight or flight response. A sudden loud noise, like a whistle, is a classic trigger. It causes an instantaneous release of hormones like adrenaline and cortisol from the adrenal glands. Adrenaline sharpens focus and primes muscles for action, which is great. But cortisol is the stress hormone. In small doses, it's fine, but a sustained or improperly timed release can lead to anxiety, clouded judgment, and a decrease in fine motor skills. Now, imagine a whistle that emits a specific frequency designed to maximize the cortisol spike while minimizing the adrenaline boost. Could you make an opposing team's star shooter feel jittery and overwhelmed at the free throw line? Could you make a striker second-guess their shot in the final seconds of a championship match? The influence would be subconscious. The player would just feel like they're choking under pressure, never suspecting that the pressure was amplified by an external sonic trigger. Next, let's go deeper, into the brain itself. This is the realm of brainwave entrainment. Your brain is constantly producing electrical pulses, or brain waves, that fall into different frequency bands associated with different mental states. Beta waves are dominant when you're awake, alert, and focused, the ideal state for an athlete. Alpha waves are associated with a relaxed meditative state, theta waves with drowsiness or deep creativity. Brainwave entrainment is a documented phenomenon where the brain synchronizes its own electrical cycles to the rhythm of an external stimulus, like a flickering light or, crucially, a pulsing sound. Binaural beats are a popular example of this. So, what if a whistle sound wasn't a continuous tone, but a tone that pulsed at, say, 10 Hz? That falls squarely in the alpha wave range. Could a sustained blast from such a whistle, while a team is trying to organize a defense, subtly shift their collective brain state from high alert beta to a more relaxed, less focused alpha state? It would create a momentary window of opportunity, a defensive lapse just long enough for the offense to exploit. It's a terrifyingly subtle form of mental manipulation. Then there's the direct nervous system and muscle response. Every muscle contraction is the result of an electrical signal sent from the brain. What if a specific sonic frequency could create interference in that signal? This is highly speculative, but the principle of vibrational interference is real. Could a precisely tuned sound wave cause a microsecond of hesitation in a sprinter coming out of the blocks? Could it disrupt the delicate proprioception, the body's awareness of its position in space, of a gymnast mid-tumble? The effect would be so small, it would be written off as a simple mistake, a slip, a flinch. But in elite sports, 1/100th of a second, a single millimeter, is the difference between gold and silver, between a win and a loss. Of course, for this conspiracy to hold any water, you need motive and counter-argument. The motive is obvious: money and power. The global sports industry is worth trillions of dollars. The financial incentive to gain even a 1% advantage is immense. If a league, a team, or a gambling syndicate could control outcomes this subtly, the rewards would be astronomical. But now we have to inject a heavy dose of skepticism. The most powerful argument against the resonance protocol is the complete and utter lack of concrete peer-reviewed evidence. There are no studies showing that a referee's whistle can entrain brain waves or trigger a specific hormonal response on a chaotic sports field. A stadium is an acoustic nightmare. The roar of the crowd, the echo, the sounds of the game itself. How could a single specific frequency from a whistle cut through that noise to have a reliable, repeatable effect on multiple players, all of whom have different body masses and physiologies? Furthermore, the human body is incredibly resilient and complex. It's not a static crystal glass waiting to be shattered. It's a dynamic, self-regulating system. It's highly unlikely that a single simple stimulus could have such a profound and controllable effect. Critics would argue that bad calls, player errors, and choking under pressure are just natural parts of the human drama of sports, and seeing a conspiracy behind them is simply a way of explaining away randomness and failure. And yet, the questions linger. If it were real, the ethical implications are staggering. Is this a form of technological doping? Would athletes need to be screened not just for substances, but for their susceptibility to certain frequencies? Would we see the development of sonic shielding uniforms? It opens a Pandora's box that fundamentally changes what we consider fair play. So, we're left at a crossroads between established science and tantalizing speculation. Is the referee's whistle just a whistle? A simple tool used to enforce the rules of a game we love?
Or is it a potential instrument of influence, a hidden weapon playing the players themselves, with the resonance protocol being the secret sheet music? The truth remains hidden, perhaps in plain sight, in the shrill, commanding blast that we all know so well. What do you think? A wild theory or a conspiracy worth investigating? Let us know in the comments.